Episode 16. Is she a ghost? Bruce, you are inhuman. The cold wind cut through her skin and tortuously slashed her to the bone with constant harsh blows. Her heart was numbed as she stumbled out of the house. At last, she couldn't take it anymore. Her eyes glimmered with watery tears, and she felt that the whole world was about to crumble. Ever since she'd become a young adult, she felt that she was living in a show of depending on them to survive. Now she was being forced to marry someone she had never seen before. The person she gave her heart to had always just been toying with her. He was right. It was because she was dumb enough to fall for the wrong man. Bruce, why? Why didn't you tell me that you weren't the one to save me? Jade dropped to her knees and screamed out her despair with all her might. She sobbed, and tears flooded like water rushing down from a waterfall. The only time she stopped was to fill her lungs with fresh air. Everything turned out to be a lie, and Bruce had just been playing with her feelings from the very beginning. Jade was unwilling to accept the truth, and she buried her face in her knees and warmed her freezing body. A black Rolls-Royce was coming in her direction from afar. Dario, didn't the man you sent already confirm that the lady had gone home? Why did you want to see for yourself? It seems like you are really interested in that lady, huh? Lucas said earnestly as he drove. Stop your nonsense and drive the car, Dario Foster said in an indifferent voice. After a while, Lucas saw something strange and slowed down the car. He then took a good look at it and saw someone kneeling on the ground. Lucas swallowed his saliva and said discreetly, Dario, did you hear anything strange? Damn, this place is off the map. Could it be a ghost? Without even lifting his head, Dario Foster said impatiently, What's the matter? Are you afraid of ghosts? Lucas turned on the headlights and slowed down the car. Right away, he had the shock of his life and brought the car to a halt. Fortunately, Dario managed to prevent Lucas from crashing. Lucas, are you sick of working? Dario's words were full of anger. He clearly did not understand the situation. Dario was stupefied when he saw Lucas staring at him with fear in his eyes, as if he were about to cry. Dario then thought of the untold secret that only he knew about Lucas, which was that he was afraid of ghosts. This place was indeed remote, and no one was walking on the street, but there was no need to be scared. That's not it, Dario. There really is something ahead. Lucas parked the car in a hurry but did not dare to move. Dario lifted his eyes and saw that Lucas's face was as pale as a ghost. Lucas did not seem to be lying. Dario looked and saw a woman in a red dress, with messy hair kneeling and crying on the ground. It was terrifying at first glance. No wonder Lucas was afraid. However, Dario immediately recognized the dress. His pupils contracted and his face turned pale. He was the one who bought that dress, an original custom-made dress that no ordinary person could buy. With one glance, he recognized the person kneeling on the ground. Dario, did you see? There really is someone there. It might even be a ghost. I don't dare to go over. What should I do? Am I going to die here today? Lucas, who was usually calm, started babbling nonsense. Dario's eyes darkened and became misty. He did not care about Lucas. He opened the door and rushed out of the car. Dario Foster, where are you going? Don't leave me here alone. I'm scared. Lucas's face was pale with fright when he saw Dario leave the car, but he did not dare to follow. He just stayed in the car and prayed to himself. Dario was unable to control his emotions. He stopped his work and immediately rushed towards her and wanted to give her warmth. He stood in front of her as he panted, and his heart pounded in his chest. Jade lifted her head when she heard footsteps approaching her. At that moment, her swollen red eyes met with a pair of star-like eyes. Jade had been crying for some time now, and the wound on her face was yet to recover, which made her look even more pitiful and heartbreaking. Dario's heart trembled when he saw her on the ground. He had never experienced a feeling like this before, and then he realized that the feeling was heartache. Jade was stunned when she saw who was standing before her. She did not expect to see him again, and wondered why every time he saw her when she was in her most miserable state. She was stunned for a moment, and then she turned her head to avoid his gaze. She looked at the car behind him, moved aside, and held on to her freezing body. She thought that he was there to chase her off the street because she was blocking his path. Furthermore, she did not want anyone to see her in such a miserable state. As she had already had enough humiliation for one day, she just wanted to be alone. Dario pursed his lips and took off his suit jacket in the blink of an eye. When Jade came to her senses, her body was already covered with his warmth. She felt the warmth of his jacket surrounding her cold body. She turned her head towards him and gave him a cold smile. Was he pitying her? She thought she must have just looked like a beggar. But still, she had her dignity. She immediately took off the suit and returned it to him. As she had been crying for so long, her clear and melodious voice became hoarse and she sounded unpleasant. "There's no need. Your suit must be very expensive. If you want to return it to me, then return that dress as well, since it also belongs to me," Dario said condescendingly while he stood in front of her. Jade gazed at him indifferently, her throat tightening as she felt a sense of impending doom. She had thought that he was a good person and never thought that he would mock her. "All right then, I'll give it back to you." Jade gradually stood up and gritted her teeth. She was ready to go all out. Fine. Since everyone wanted to embarrass her, she would fulfill their wishes.